How's it going, everyone? The PlayStation Store is currently running two major store sales, the Planet of the Discount sale, as well as games under $15. In this video, we'll be taking a look at games under the price of $5, so let's get right into it. First of all, we have Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition, which is 90% off for $3.99. Now, Bulletstorm is a game that I really enjoyed when it initially came out. A couple of issues with it. First of all, it was a $60 game that was relatively short, and, some of the vulgar nature of the game might not be for everyone. Like, it's a little bit over the top. However, the highlight of Bulletstorm is the most important part of any video game, in my opinion, and that is the gameplay. It is a fast-paced first-person title with a lot of stylish gameplay. You can tune out the story. It's nothing that's really gonna, emotionally engross you or anything like that, but from a gameplay standpoint, it's quite good. And if you want a game that you could just blitz through over a weekend, Bulletstorm's a pretty decent one, and at $4, I think it's a pretty good price. Next up, we have Dishonored Definitive Edition, 75% off for $4.99. Whenever I see this game at $4.99, I'm inclined to recommend it. It often goes on sale for like $7.99 or $9.99, but at sub $5, Dishonored is a great game. Another title that initially came out over a decade ago, back in, I believe, like October of 2012 or December of 2012. It's been quite a while since the first Dishonored came out, but it still holds up really well. It employed a very unique art style that is honestly aged, I wouldn't say like super gracefully, but it still looks pretty good just because the visual style is so unique. Narratively, it's strong, and the gameplay had a lot of depth to it with a lot of variety in how you could tackle the game. It's not a super lengthy game, but it's a very good one, and if you're into action stealth titles, there's one that you should definitely check out, and it does include the DLC, so that's an added bonus. Next up, we have Mirror's Edge Catalyst, 75% off for $4.99. Mirror's Edge Catalyst, unfortunately, was an incredibly disappointing game when it initially came out because it was, I guess you could say, the follow-up release to Mirror's Edge, but, you can play Catalyst without playing the original, of course. Catalyst still offered a lot to like. I think the platforming gameplay is still pretty well done, and from a narrative standpoint, it's fine. The visuals actually hold up really well. I think this game is kind of underrated from a graphical standpoint, and it has a decent bit of content. Look, at $60, it absolutely wasn't worth it, and that's something a lot of people said about the original Mirror's Edge when it came out in 2008, but for $4.99, I think Catalyst is a pretty good buy. It is, of course, included with EA Play, so you can play it that way, but for $5, not a bad pickup. Next up, we have Titanfall 2 Ultimate Edition, also available through EA Play. Titanfall 2, at this point, if you're picking it up, you're probably getting it for the campaign. The Ultimate Edition has some bonus content and a lot of multiplayer content and stuff like that, but Titanfall 2's campaign is actually really, really good. It's not like a blow-away single-player first-person shooter campaign, but considering they usually aren't blow-away campaigns from a, single-player FPS standpoint, Titanfall 2 is a damn good one, and the idea of the inclusion of the mech and how they include that into the narrative, I think they did a really good job with it. Unfortunately, who knows about the future of this franchise? They're busy with Apex Legends. Respawn's got their own thing going on with Star Wars as well, so, the future of Titanfall remains to be seen, but Titanfall 2 is still a worthwhile pickup at $4.49, not a bad buy. Next up, we have Amnesia The Collection, which includes Amnesia The Dark Descent as well as a Machine for Pigs. Now, Machine for Pigs is kind of a more mediocre game, to say the least. Dark Descent is one of the most iconic horror games of all time, and when YouTube Let's Plays really started popping off, I mean, Dark Descent was a game that a lot of people gravitated towards. Obviously, both games show their age, but if you're into immersive horror titles, especially Dark Descent, for $2.99, $1.50 a pop for each game, I think that's a pretty good deal. Frictional is really good when it comes to horror games, but they have been a little bit inconsistent. Hopefully, with the new Amnesia that is about to come out, The Bunker, they do a good job with that, but if you want to throw back, Dark Descent is a decent playthrough, and Machine for Pigs isn't, like, terrible or anything like that, just a fall off from the Dark Descent. Next up, Dragon's Crown Pro, 80% off for $3.99. This is done by one of my favorite studios in Vanillaware. Not my favorite game from Vanillaware, but it still has a lot of the elements that I like from them. Incredible presentation, the art style is great, the action beat-em-up gameplay I think is done pretty well, and it's still a pretty solid game all around. I'm not going to say this is 13 Sentinels level or Odin Sphere level, but it's a pretty good 2D action RPG with a great visual style and some replayability. Looks great. Soundtrack is pretty decent as well. $3.99 is a great price, and it's hard not to recommend it at this cheap of a price point. Next up, we talked about Frictional when it came to Amnesia, but they also did Soma, which is 90% off for $2.99. This is a disgustingly good deal, and in my opinion, Soma is Frictional's best game. While they're probably best known for Amnesia, Soma, in my opinion, is so much more of an engrossing experience and an immersive experience, and not to take anything away from Amnesia, but they did a tremendous job with Soma. Set in this underwater research facility, it's very much a psychological horror game. You're not very empowered or anything like that. More of a methodical, slower paced game, but it's done very, very well. Once again, not super lengthy, but you know, if you're going into a frictional games title, you're not expecting this 20-hour grandiose experience as far as a horror game goes. You're expecting something that gets in, tells an immersive experience, and that's exactly what you're going to get with Soma, especially when you're paying $2.99, no-brainer as far as a pickup there. Next up, we have Alienation, 75% off for $4.99. Well, Housemarque games these days, they are the best known for their work on, let's say, Returnal or even Super Stardust HD. Alienation was another one of their over-the-top action twin-stick shooter. It is incredibly enjoyable. It does have cooperative play, but if you just want an over-the-top visual delight that is just high-octane and just has a ton of stuff going on, Alienation is exactly that, and for $4.99, it's a great pickup. It is available through PlayStation Plus Extra, so you can check it out that way, but if you want to buy it, $4.99 is a great price. Next up, we have Gris, which is 75% off for $4.24. This is a game that I should recommend more often, but, you know, this price point is just a no-brainer. If you are remotely into engrossing and atmospheric games, this is absolutely the one to pick up. It's got a great soundtrack, great presentation style. I think the visual effects is something that, and the visual style is something that is immediately going to draw people in. It does have a focus on the story they're telling, but it's not told in a traditional way. Like, you don't have an immense amount of dialogue or anything like that telling you the story. It's more of you interpret this beautiful, engrossing experience that I think is a very, very unique game, but they really nailed it. The studio itself is working on another game right now that was just announced at the PlayStation Showcase Neva, so now wouldn't be a bad time to check out Gris, especially at this price point. Just bear in mind, it is very much shorter in length, but $4.24, that's really not an issue. And you guys got 8 billion open world RPGs to play through, so a shorter game is something that is honestly a little welcome these days. Next up, Hotline Miami, 75% off for $2.49. Another over-the-top action-heavy game, very much a throwback to your games from the 90s, but it's got a great pixel graphics look. A lot of blood, so bear that in mind. Definitely a little bit of a gruesome game, even with the pixel graphics look. Definitely a lot of violence to be had, but Hotline Miami is a challenging, replayable game, and it's a game that I feel like everybody should have in their library. $2.49, no-brainer there, definitely. At that price, it's a fantastic pickup. And lastly, given that we are coming up on the release of Lords of the Fallen later this year, let me give a recommendation to, oh, what's that? Lords of the Fallen, but this is Lords of the Fallen 2014, came out very early on in the PlayStation 4 life cycle. Now, is it as good as your Dark Souls, your Demon Souls, your Bloodborns of the world? No, but it's still an enjoyable, challenging Souls-like game. I had some fun with it, and, you know, if you go into it with tamed expectations, and bear in mind, you're paying $2.99, so your expectations should be mid-level, you could still have some fun with it if you're really into challenging action RPGs. You'll find that with Lords of the Fallen, and they do have a complete edition for $4.49. You can get some bonus content with that. Hopefully, they do a good job with this revamped release that is coming out later this year. It's called Lords of the Fallen once again, but this is the original game, came out back in 2014, done by a CI game, so hopefully that turns out well, but for now, $2.99 for this one, not a bad deal. It's gonna beat out the price of $70 for the new one, so you can check this one out for now. But that's gonna do it for me. Again, a lot of great deals under the price of $5, so check them out. Links to everything, as always, in the description box below. That's gonna do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.